Yo guys, I'm HP, this is Dr. Pink and welcome here to this guitar course, Basic Jazz Guitar Improvisation. So if you are a blues or rock guitar player, like intermediate player, and you want to start with jazz guitar, it's like a big cliff which you think you cannot take, and this course shall help you to get you from one point to the other one by using what you already have and giving additional stuff. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button, and also join the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. So what we are talking about in today's lesson, we want to learn to play a simple progression. Yo, that's what we're doing here. We're going to talk about this progression here. In jazz guitar, unfortunately, there has to be some theoretical knowledge here. So with this course here, we're starting to build up your theoretical knowledge to get it to a point where you're getting used to it. But I strongly recommend that you start reading about intervals, how chords are built with the stacking of triads, and also how diatonic chord progressions and modes are not created, but where they come from. This stuff is available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy for download. If you want to read it, each topic is about 10 pages or less, so it's not too much, but I strongly recommend that you start doing stuff like that. Yo, today we're going to talk about a major and a so-called 1-4-5 progression, or also this is also called the classical cadence. This will be, in this case, we have C, F, and G. That's the classical cadence. But we're using now the jazz chords, and we're going to learn what we can improvise over this and how you learn to follow the chords. That's the main difference. When you're coming from other genres, like blues, you can just play pentatonics, no problem. But when you come to jazz, you still can take bluesy stuff. That's what we're doing today. We take bluesy stuff and mix it with the new stuff, and we try to follow the chords. So let's get started. When you start to doing jazz guitar improvisation stuff, the first thing you check is which key are we in. The second is you analyze the chords and give them modes. Okay? So we have a progression here with C major 7, which will be this chord, to F major 7, to G7, back to C major 7. If you're unsure which key you are in, you check the sheet music and check how many sharps or Bs it has. You know, if it's predefined, the key is predefined. If not, you can also find it through the progression. In this case, it's really simple because we're starting on C major 7 to F major 7. That's already an indication that we are in C major. And to G7 to back to C major 7. So this is the classical, classical cadence. It's 1-4-5. Where does this 1-4-5 come from? We're going to check it out. Now we're going to play the C major scale, the one which you probably know, this one here. C major scale, okay? Now when you want to know what kind of progression you have, you count the notes through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and after 7 it starts again with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So now we analyze what we have here. So we have C major 7, that will be the 1. F major 7, you count through 1, 2, 3, 4, F major 7, 1, 4, and G7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 4, 5. This is so-called 1, 4, 5 progression. The classical cadence. Okay? Now, you can play over this tune if you want, of course, C major. Or if you want to make it sound bluesy, you play the C major blues scale. That will be this one here. Probably you know this position here. So you can play bluesy over the entire track, which works pretty well. But we want to try to start building up the other stuff. But I quickly show you how you can play bluesy with the major blues scale. See, works pretty well. You can noodle around with the major blues scale, but it's not really satisfying because we are not following the chords at all. Now, if you want to follow the chords, you first need to know the modes. So what are modes? In this case, C major, again we play the scale, starting here on the 1. That's a C major scale, but if you refer it as a mode, it's called Ionian. And you need to know these expressions by heart, unfortunately. So, Ionian. This is the Ionian mode. The Ionian mode contains the intervals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, as already said. Now, if you're playing F major 7, the mode changes. Now you start here. Same notes, but you start on the F. Now somebody would say, hey dude, these are the same notes, what's the deal here? In fact, that's right, but that's not what it's about. When you start on the F, the intervals change, because now it's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So this would be Lydian. This sounds different. When you compare, sounds different. And also later on you're going to play over the entire fretboard and you need to know the difference between Ionian and Lydian. It's just one note. The 4 becomes a sharp 4. Now we want to go to the G. You do the same thing. You start on the G. Now somebody again would say, dude, these are the same notes. What's the deal? Yeah, that's right. But now when you check the intervals, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. That's why it sounds different. Maybe you already hear it, the difference. And so now a first exercise would be that now you play a mode. Now I've created a backing track here with the classic 1-4-5 progression, 2 bars. You have a lot of time to think. So on each chord you play the right mode. In this case you play 2 bars of C Ionian. On the F you play 2 bars of F Lydian. And on the G, I forgot to say the name, you play 2 bars of Mixolydian. Let's do this. And then it starts to sound cooler. It looks really simple, but there's a lot of brain work going on while you play. You always have to know where you are, what you're playing here, which chord you're referring to, and where you are. Okay, so the first exercise is just to play the modes on each chord. To make it not more difficult, and that's why this backing track has 2 bars. First bar, you play the mode, which will be on C, of course, Yod. We just play this little figure here. Then we move the figure to F. It goes from 1 till 5. And to G. So now we transposed a motif through the modes, and that's what modes are for. You transpose motifs through the modes, and they change. They can change. They don't have to change, but they can change. And okay, so that will be the first. Now you play 1 bar, you play this figure, and the next bar you go to the C major blues scale and you play anything. I'm gonna play something like this here. So now you need, it seems to be simple, but you always have to know where you are. So this always, you follow the chords. That's the main thing which is difficult here, okay? This thing looks really easy, but as there's a lot of brain work going on, and you need to build automatisms that you're always able to follow the chords and you don't fall out of the grid of the chords, okay? And you still can shuffle around with the scales which you're using. We're going to do a second little exercise, and then it will be enough for today. Now we're going to play the arpeggio. What is the arpeggio? Building chords, I already said, stacked thirds. The arpeggio is root, triad, fifth, and 7. So these are now 1, 3, 5, 7. You already see stacked triads, and these 4 notes create the chord C major 7. Okay, now you just play them one after each other. On the F is the same. Now you just move to the F, do the same thing, and you stack triads. This leads to this. 1, 3, 5, 7. And on the G you do the same. You start now on the G, stack triads. This leads to this here. Now we're doing the same. We play the arpeggios, 1 bar, then a little figure here on the C major blues scale. Let's do that. That's now more difficult because the phrase has become more difficult. See, now it already starts to sound like the real deal, even it's still a basic exercise, but now you're following the chords, and that's the main task when you want to do jazz guitar improvisation. You need to know where you are, what you can do, and all this complex stuff should not bring you out of your center in playing. So now with this course here, we're building up the whole thing. We're building up structures and figures that you're able to do that, okay? You guys, as already mentioned, this is now a course, basic jazz guitar improvisation. This is the first of all. We're starting here, and we're going through different types of progressions, different types of figures. We also go to minor and really check it out step by step and build this whole thing up. And now again, I said at the beginning, I strongly recommend that you work yourself through the theory of intervals, the theory of how to build chords, triads and seventh chords, plus diatonic chord progressions, which leads to the modes. That stuff is available in the HPCrazy Guitar for download for premium members, plus the tabs of what I was talking about here, and this great backing track where you can practice the whole stuff, or you just figure out somewhere else. That's up to you. And but if you have any questions, you will also have the opportunity to ask in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. Jazz is in fact, even when you just play spacey jazz, you know, a few notes and just float through the space of time, it requires this theoretical knowledge and also the practical use, and that's basically the sense of this course, to build up both at the same time and still have fun and also still take in stuff you can already play. As I already said, you can play a lot of bluesy stuff in jazz as well, as long as it's embedded in the whole theory of the whole thing, which I just explained in this first tutorial. Yo, that's all I have to say. Me and Dr. Pink are saying goodbye.